college. Speaking of.
Yes, speaking of college. So a growing number of universities, professors, departments, and the whole nine are shifting towards oral exams, right? So I'm not sure if any of you guys ever did an oral exam, but essentially, imagine your professor giving you a whiteboard and say, explain this math problem. Explain your thought process on this complex issue. And you have to understand the complex issue enough to explain, especially communicating to a person. And this is very important because it takes away the AI component. So AI is becoming so efficient and is becoming so problematic that a lot of people can't distinguish real written words from AI. So there was a big case where a guy got kicked out of a big school because it said his paper was AI. He came back and said, the Declaration of Independence came back 60 to 70% AI when they put it through the same program that the university used to suspend him.
That's crazy.
So now a lot of universities are running into issues to where when you write your thesis for your master's program, they run it through this program and it says it's 60 to 70% AI. And now you're like, I know for a fact I didn't use AI. I did, however, use Google Docs. And Google Docs is being trained on their AI platform, Gemini. So when you run it through Gemini or you run it through these other platforms, it says it's AI, but everything is AI now because they're downloading the fucking internet.
I was going to say, it makes sense because anything that you put on the internet from any period of time, AI uses that and it trains itself. All it does is regurgitate like our best thoughts.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Or the best line structures. All of that started though with like people who actually had the processing power on their own.
That's why a lot of these companies are getting sued. The New York Times is suing Perplexity, the big AI company, because they found out that they're training their
on New York Times articles.
Exactly.
And,
and that's a lot of well-researched, well-thought out journalism.
I was about to say, and the idea that like, you know, some journalists, you don't just get to New York Times, you know.
Correct. You gotta
you build up to it.
You gotta build up to that.
So these are people who take like literary structure and the idea that, you know, I'm going to like deposit this information and it's going to be important and all of these things. They take that seriously.
Yeah, imagine you do a thesis for 3-4 years or dissertation for 8 years at becoming a PhD. And then you look up and AI, ChatGPT is spitting out your stuff as a result for a question somebody asks. You don't make $1 off of that.
Yeah, that's
you done worked your
too.
whole life, so you don't make $1. You don't have a license, so I understand it.
The only thing with oral exams, though, is that a lot of times
they're not as efficient.
I was gonna say, and then a lot of times, if you have an oral exam, they'll give you the prompt or whatever they give you, and then you're not allowed to ask any questions, any like follow-up questions. Yeah. And for me, with you right in my face,
it constrains a lot of people.
Yes,
like I'm used to talking to people impromptu, but everybody's not.
I just want to ask more questions. I want to, if I'm not clear about something, it's like, no, you only have this prompt.
Let me ask you: you have a master's degree, so how long did it take you to complete your thesis, or like what was the process for that? Like, well, I know every program is different. Right?
Yeah, I didn't have a thesis. That would have been like PhD program, or like a dissertation or anything like that. But it was 3 years, and it was a situation where, like, you know, we had our midterms and then we had our finals and things like that.
So y'all didn't have like a final paper or something you had to submit?
It was a final paper, but like it wasn't like a final like book for it wasn't like a final book to wrap it all up type thing, but it was for each individual class. You kind of had to have that final paper. It was like 15 to 25 pages long, and we're talking about you got 4 classes and they all want 25 pages, so it's almost a book. But yeah, it was one of those things where, like you said, now you got to like whiteboard it out in front of them, and I don't know. I know
a lot of big tech companies and like these prestigious places, you know, Charles Schwab, Chase Bank, Wall Street firms, all of these big companies, they've been using this for job interviews a lot, and they might give you an example and say, here's this building, evaluate it, give me the return on investment, give me the, you know what I'm saying? So like one thing I do, it's not an oral exam, but it kind of is. I don't know if you remember it, like even when you
if you had to paint the
you submitted your application. I got this from Google though. They asked you if you had to wash every window in New York City, how much would you charge? And that's a great complex way to get you thinking, because some people, you have to kind of explain why.
But now I have follow-up questions, because now I'm like, all right, how many windows are in New York?
I know,
how many
but
buildings?
That's why you have to. That's why the real answer is to say X a window. So let's say you say $30 a window. So yeah, the big windows on a skyscraper, you're going to lose money, but you're going to make so much money on the cars and on the houses and on the smaller condos and townhouses. So you're going to even out, and you're actually going to be profitable.
Let's hope.
But if you just say I charge you $1 million, that's a terrible answer, because you're not using your brain to think about New York City. Right? So that is a good way to gauge how you think.
I think my answer was every window in New York was already being washed anyway.
See?
So I would just hire them.
or you could say like I'll charge you $15 per window, and I'll hire a team, charge them $10 per window.
I think that was more
and
because
and I'll make a $5 profit.
Why would I reinvent it? Well, all the windows are being washed anyway. So
I'll just contract those people
yes,
out.
I'll just contract them.
But I think that's a good way to to combat this AI, because at some point everybody's gonna be able to write good if you're able to explain it in a prompt in ChatGPT and Gemini and Perplexity. If you're able to use those effectively, you're not going to really have to learn how to write. It's going to write for you. That's true. Now...
And then you don't really need to write anymore.
Correct. But that's a bad thing, because writing, reading, and things like that helps you with your problem solving and complexity and thinking on your feet. And this is why a lot of these fucking kids coming out of college are fucking retarded, because they can't really think. Because they're going into these universities and they just chat GPT and everything, and they never have to sit down and think. Or
just read, because I remember when my niece, she was learning how to read. It was so hard because she would text and she would speak to the phone in order for the text message. So she's not even like using whatever she called herself learning in school. She's not even using those skills, because she's foregoing that and just taking the easy way out. And always going to talk to the phone. She started talking to the remote. She started talking to everything that would listen to her, because she didn't know how to spell and she didn't know how to read, and she was not interested in learning. So we ended up having to pay, I think it was $15,000, so she can go to a learning center where she had to put her phone away and actually learn how to read and write and spell. And we got her there, but it took $15,000 that we don't have. Well, that we found, that we had to find, because she was talking to everything. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, now nobody has to write. No, you know what I'm saying?
But I mean, I think it's a good. I think it's a good idea. I think you should have like a hybrid situation. You should have both. Like one as the midterm, one as the final type thing. Like it's never good to just go all in on one thing and just X everything out, because it is good to learn how to write. And just like the internet, right? At first, people who used the internet, they had a competitive advantage. But once everybody got the internet, then other things starting to matter. So in 5 years, when everybody have access to AI and know how to use it, well, other things are going to matter more, which is being able to communicate orally, which is something you can't download into your brain. Not yet. They got Neuralink and shit that people gonna be able to download and do all that.
I think it becomes one of those situations where there's not going to be a such thing as turning in a paper that same day. It's going to be like, hey, here are your computers, your school issued computers or your work issued computers, potential job issued computers. You got 2 hours to write this paper, or whatever the case may be. 3 if you have a learning disability or something like that. And you're going to have to whatever you would do at home, you're going to just have to do on site. Does that make sense? I feel like that's the only way to get around it, because to your point, I was reading something that said, like, if you get off your phone for 2 weeks,
I seen that. Your attention
span increases like 10 years of 10 years of it like repairs like 10 years of cognitive decline. Yeah. So like I do agree with you. I want that creativity that comes with people who know how to read and write and spell and have sentence structure and, subject verb agreement. Like I want all of those things out of.
I mean, it's just kind of like how, again, like the internet, when everybody said, well, it's going to get rid of brick and mortar, it's going to get rid of this, but it's like, I still like to be able to go try my shoes on.
Yes.
So like, I don't care if I can look online in Amazon and have it shipped in 2 hours. I would rather go up to Foot Locker, try them on with my family. God. And, try the jumpsuit on, try this on, and then buy it instead of, having some robot deliver it to me in 2 hours. Yeah. Because if it don't fit right, I can just give it back to you and go get another size versus I'm constantly have to reorder online. Like, that's why I really don't like online shopping. But I think it is good for a lot of these college students to actually get some real life skills, because being able to communicate your point, whether it's something that people agree with or not, being able to debate, being able to stand on business, what the young kids call now, verbally is a skill that is going to translate in all areas, and that's something AI is never going to be able to take. So I think it's a good thing.
No, yeah, because really it's still in our creativity, so we have to still be able to generate it for it to steal from us.
Yeah.